Hello, I'm sorry I missed you at conferences today. I just wanted to make sure that we had a way to share Sarah's progress with you, even though we couldn't meet via Zoom. I wanted to show you the things that we would have talked about, and so you can see what she's working on in our classroom and the progress that she's making. So this is what we would have talked about. I'll show you some things here on the screen that will be her report card and some work samples. For the first grade report card, we're looking for an S to be satisfactory progress in our core subject areas, so reading, math, science, social studies, and writing. There are a couple areas where Sarah is at the end needing improvement because she's not quite achieving at the first grade level that we would want at this time, but we do have some supports in place for her, so that's helping her function on a daily basis in our classroom. As far as specials classes are concerned. And for her behavior scores, we're looking for a 2 out of a 1, 2, 3 standard to be meeting expectations. If there's a plus or a minus next to any of her scores, that means that she's achieving a little bit above the expected level, or she has a couple things that we're working on, but not a real area of concern. Anything that has an N or a 1 are the areas we're really going to focus on and hopefully boost her up and give her some extra support to help her gain those skills a little bit more quickly. Going over here, we can see on Sarah's report card that in reading and writing, her grade is an N+. So she is not working at the first grade level currently, but she is making efforts towards growth. She has improved a little bit since we last took official scores and things in the fall, and that's exactly what we want to see. We want her to see that continued growth. It's not coming quite as fast as we would hope, but she also does have that language that she's trying to work on developing, academic and social language as well. In math, she's receiving an S, so she's achieving on grade level. She does still need a little bit of support there to break down problems into smaller steps, but she's able to use manipulatives like cubes or a number line she can draw on with a marker um, to help figure out problems most of the time once we break it down for her. Social studies and science, she gets a participation grade there. She's doing all of the first grade work we would expect. She does a great job in all of the specials classes. We've never had any complaints from any of the teachers from music, PE, art, or STEM. And then looking at her learner outcomes, so the behaviors and the things that we're seeing in class. She's doing a pretty good job in most things. The one area that still is concerning is her communication. She does struggle to communicate her ideas in class. She does not speak in full sentences as much as I would like her to, but she is making improvements. We're getting short phrases, her vocabulary is expanding, so we're going to continue to support her in that. And she does get pulled out of class to work with our English language teacher, Mrs. Francis, and they work on some vocabulary skills and grammar skills in there. So hopefully that will continue to help her make that growth. But I have seen improvements since the beginning of the year. She was really hesitant to actually talk in class at the beginning of the year, but you can tell she's growing in confidence and she's getting more comfortable. So she's willing to share ideas more. Something that I'll do for her when I'm trying to gauge her understanding of a topic will be to give her options to pick from. So it kind of prompts her with that language so she can choose which one she thinks is the right answer and doesn't have to completely generate that vocabulary and that knowledge all on her own. So that's just kind of a scaffold that I provide. And that seems to help a bit too. When we look over here at her self-evaluation, I just ask kids to rate themselves on how they think they're performing in class as far as behaviors and effort go. And she does say that she tries her best and listens carefully and follows directions and stays on task. And I agree with that 100%. Organized and ready with materials, she said medium. I think she does a pretty good job. There have been a few times where she's had things that she left at home or hasn't brought back, like her purple bag book or something on a day. So that might be what she's thinking of, but I would give her a smiley face. Usually she has the things that she needs in class and she's ready to go. She's always one of the first students to follow my directions as far as transitions come and moving to her desk, being seated, ready to go on to the next activity, holding up our quiet sign and trying to set a good example for others. So I like that I can call on her and use her as, a role model for her peers. Active participation, when she's talking with like small groups of students, that's when we get more participation out of her. As far as like a whole group setting, raising her hand to talk, she doesn't really like to do that very much. I think she's still kind of unsure and lacking some confidence in that area. But I'll continue to support her and give her positive feedback when we're working in small groups so she can build that confidence to hopefully share out in larger group settings more someday. I'm not sure why she said that she is not kind and respectful to others because she's one of the sweetest, most kind-hearted students that I've been working with this year. She's so funny, and I don't know that she's ever said anything mean to anyone else in class. She's always willing to share. So I would have to say I totally disagree with her on this one. Um, but then waiting for her turn to talk and speak at appropriate times, I think she filled in two bubbles on here. I think she's definitely good about waiting and listening. So that's good. I asked her to talk about things that she felt that she was doing good at school and something she wanted to improve. She thinks she's doing good at reading, and that just makes me happy because she's feeling success there. Although she is not reading at the first grade level, she is building those foundational blocks that are so important to get her on grade level, and she's finding some success in that. So as long as we keep working on those, she's getting pulled out into groups to kind of help move that process along too and give her extra support. I'm glad that she's feeling successful in that area. Working on sentences is great too. I've seen her grow in her confidence for writing. And at the beginning of the year, she would just copy whatever I had on the board. She didn't know what it said. Um, she would just copy things maybe that I would do. And even if it didn't apply to her, that was going to be her sentence. But now I see her trying to communicate her own ideas a little bit more independently. And I'm glad that she's growing in that way. When we did some work with syllables, Sarah got 8 out of 10 correct. So that's showing me that she's doing a pretty good job, has a pretty solid understanding of that. We'll continue to practice this a couple times a week just to keep that knowledge there and keep it growing. She did a pretty good job on creating her own rhyme, but when we were trying to tell if it was yes or no, if the words rhyme, she got tripped up on quite a few of these. So I think she might have just lost like her thinking on what actually considers a rhyme. So dog, frog, she said no, but it actually does rhyme because it has that same ending sound. We're going to keep working on rhyming in class as well. We've got a little warm-up section of our reading block every day where I can incorporate some more rhymes, and I let the reading specialist teacher that she sees also know that she should be working on that and just practicing a little bit more. So we'll give her some more exposure there. When it comes to reading and writing words, she's working mainly on her basic letters of the alphabet still, just the individual letters and their sounds. These are the letter sounds that I expose them to when they're in class. So now we're working on letter teams like TH, SH, CH, and then we're doing long vowels also. You can see right here, she's reading these still as short vowel sounds. So we're not quite there yet, but that's okay. As long as she continues to grow with where she's at with the individual letter sounds, then we'll move into this next. And then the same thing going with writing, trying to apply that to writing is a little bit tricky if you don't have them memorized when you're reading them yet. So we'll continue to support her just to make sure that she is able to complete her work and feel successful in class and help her learn some more and get extra practice with that outside of our regular core reading time too. When we look at her writing grade popping back over, that was one of those that I said she is still at an N+, just like reading. She does receive some support here to communicate her ideas clearly. She will have ideas for what she wants to write about, and then she needs assistance in making that a complete sentence and a grammatically correct sentence, and then assistance in spelling it and putting it on the paper. This one was without assistance. I gave them the prompt of bed, and they had to write their own sentence. So she said, I like bed, love. So I think she was trying to write, I like my bed, I love my bed. And so we've got kind of that broken sentence there. But some good things that I do see from her writing is that she has an understanding of words, and she puts spaces between her words. She started with a capital letter with the word I right here. So what we'll work on is making those complete thoughts and remembering to include a punctuation mark at the end. We also did a little bit of research on sloths. So she wrote a couple sentences about what she knows about a sloth. Today I will teach you about sloth. Sloth eat fruity leaves and sloths eat fruit, leaf, and fruit. Sloth climb trees. So we see some grammatical things there. We would hope to see like sloths, plural, because she's talking about all sloths, and just a little bit more content to her sentences, but she's communicating basic ideas and knowledge that she knows about sloths. Finally, we'll talk about math. The reading or the social studies and the science grades for us are participation. We don't give official assessments on those in first grade. And whenever she's in class for those things, she is happy to participate. She likes to do the experiments for science. So she's doing everything that I ask in that area. Math, I gave her an S. She's on grade level. She does need a little bit of assistance, like I said before, with breaking down problems and like reading through this math test. She cannot do that independently. So we have another teacher that helps out with me in the room for math. But she's showing that she does have an understanding of graphs and she is able to compare numbers from a graph. She was making 10 and adding numbers together. She can use a number line pretty well when she's counting. Of course, we're reading these problems to her and kind of helping her think through and picture what's happening in the problem, and then she's solving it on the number line. We're starting to get a basic understanding of place value, but that's something we'll continue to work on. And again, just kind of refining our processes over here. She came to the correct conclusion to get her answer. Just breaking it down and showing it in this number bond model wasn't quite the correct way. We've got more problems over here involving number lines. This one was a little slip up with place value. What we wanted to see was that 15 is 10 plus 5, or the same as one group of 10 and 5 extra ones. So we'll just clarify that as we continue to learn about place value in the next couple weeks. And we've got some more problems here with graphing. There's some addition and 2 more word problems to follow it up. She is going to see a math specialist as well as a reading specialist during different intervals in the day. Miss Denny is the math specialist and helping her with some of those foundational math concepts and just reinforcing what we're teaching in class. And then for the reading extensions, she goes to see Mrs. Francis, and they're working on those basic letter skills that I talked about earlier. From her formal testing that we did once we got back from break, you will see that she has the skill practice areas from reading and math. That's where she scored. So that's why she's going outside of the classroom to have some extra time and remediation with those skills. And then down here is a more detailed report of where she landed in each of those areas. So this will be coming home for you in a printout. You can look at it in a little bit more depth. And if you have any questions or anything about Sara's performance in class, or any behavior things, or if you have any concerns about what you see at home, please reach out and let me know. I'm open to phone calls, Zoom calls. If you just want to send an email, that'll be great. But hopefully you are proud of her. We are seeing a lot of work, and she is such a sweetheart when she's here with us at school. And we just want to continue to see her to grow. We don't want to ever reach a plateau. So we'll try to keep her motivated and keep her going on an upward path.